Good evening, all. Good evening. Mic test. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you all hear me? Is everything coming through clearly? 1, 2, 3. Works fine. And can you guys hear the music over the background? It's not too loud compared to the voice, etc. Hey, look, it's Ximiao. There you go, mate. Maybe put the music down a little. Okay? I'll put it down just a teensy bit. Hey, Menz. Thanks for coming, mate. Alright, a couple of votes for down a little. I'm going to plonk it down to about there. How does that sound? Is that noticeable? I'm using... much better? Okay. I'm using a new piece of software for streaming. I was using OBS before, and now I'm using Streamlabs OBS with some other configuration elements. So it's a little bit of an ad hoc thing, and so obviously I'm doing the sound check, hopefully for the last time, because it'll remember everything from here on in. So it's going to do pop-ups when you get bits. Yeah. So I'm now mucking around with that. Actually, what I should do, there's a couple of things. I'm gonna fire this up, so you should be able to see me now. Hello. Can you guys see me? So, a couple of things you'll notice straight away. First of all, I now have a green screen set up with a dodgy background, so you should be able to see me apparently standing somewhere in Norway with the Northern Lights behind me, which is much more attractive than what I had behind the scenes. And part of the reason that I did that is because during Justin's most recent stream, the question of OPSEC came up. And that made me think, you know what, where I sit, there's actually not that much stuff that could be an OPSEC fail for me, but I think it's worth just not having anything visible other than what I want you to see. So hence the green screen now and the dodgy backdrop. The dodgy backdrop will change probably every time we stream for something different. I could be in any part of the world, who knows. So that's one of the new things. Bye-bye foosball. Yes, well, I mean, you can still see the foosball table in the backdrop of my static picture that Atwolf loves so much. So, classic. Oh, Vikrant's here. Hey, Vikrant, how you going, buddy? Multi's in as well. Lovely to see all you folks. Thanks for joining in. Okay, as always, we're about to do some haxing of the computers, and we can't do that without tea, because everyone knows that hacking without tea is very uncivilized. So tonight's brew, much in the same way that I like to have this brew through other streams, is Gyokuro from T2. That is currently up on screen for you guys to see. It is a wonderful grassy green tea that Ozjock put me onto, and now I can't stop drinking it. Mugu7, greetings to you, and Green Wolf, top of the morning to you too, sir. Cheers. Sip your tea if you have it. Oh, it's so good. So good. So if you're into green tea, or if you feel like giving a good green tea a crack, I highly recommend giving this a go. Hey, Atari, how are you, mate? Nice to see you again, dude. All right, so that's the tea. And as we know, a little bit of sugar on top of that with some cacao is an absolute must. So tonight's chocolate is, again, the Lindt 90% dark chocolate. And the wonderful thing about this stuff is that you can only have a couple of bits, and you're kind of done, so you don't feel the need to eat the whole bar. Well, that's not strictly true. You sometimes feel the need to eat the whole bar. But the desire to just keep eating is a little bit less. It's just enough to cleanse the palate. So, very nice. So good. Okay, so now you get to see me chew through some lovely chocolate and swigging on some lovely green tea. Let's get down to business. So, the plan. That's it. G'day, Splat. How you going, mate? So the plan for tonight is to dive into something that I've been pondering just a little bit over the last couple of weeks. So I've been on an engagement where there's been an EDR solution in place. And, oh, that's good to hear, Splat. Hopefully this will be relaxing for you. And so the stuff that I've been thinking about has been along the lines of what kind of stuff are EDR solutions doing when they detect malicious behavior, etc. So while pondering that, I thought, okay, there's a number of things that any typical remote access Trojan is going to do when it's running. And there's, like, we could go through a whole list of those. And the plan at the moment is not to do all of those things. What I want to do is just focus on one. And part of the reason why I'm inspired to focus on one is because of a tool that a friend of everyone's wrote. This friend is Jared Atkinson. Jared is based over in the USA. He works at SpectreOps. He's a fantastic dude. And he made this script here, this get injected thread script. Now this caught my eye a while ago when he made this. Because clearly with Meterpreter related development, there's injected threads going up the wazoo. Particularly if you're doing things like reflective DLL injection. And so I was intrigued by what this thing does and whether or not anything that this thing does maps to what an EDR solution might do when there's cross-process injection going on. Now, it's pretty easy to say, well, you know, creating threads in different processes is a pretty easy thing to fingerprint. Hey, Chalky Love, how you going, mate? I put junk in my body as much as anyone else, but it's not as often. So what I thought was, you know, instead of looking at the typical thing that everything fingerprints, let's look at something like really specific, and that was the creation of threads in a program that you've injected into, and what that means. So if we have a look at what Jared's written in this description, you can see it says memory resident malware, fileless malware, often uses a form of memory injection to get code execution. Get injected thread looks at each running thread to determine if it's the result of memory injection. Okay, so that's interesting. Common memory injection techniques that can be caught using this method are classic, so open process, virtual out, write process, create remote thread, reflective DLL injection, and memory module. Now I don't know what this last one is, so I might have to ask Jared what that is, but that's not really what we're looking at. These first two are something that I'm kind of aiming to cover, and I'm going to use Meterpreter as the payload because, as we know, Meterpreter does reflective DLL injection, and it does all of this stuff as well. So there's two areas that I'm interested in covering. So number one, when Meterpreter is loaded into a process, and it has to create its own threads for its own use, those threads are the kind of threads that would look like they've been created as a result of injected threads like this. So there's that, and then there's the, you know, injecting into remote processes. So let's pretend we had a Meterp payload that we double clicked on. What would that look like with regards to this get injected thread? Would it think that the sort of main thread is not legit, or would it consider that to be okay? Stream source seems lower than the usual 720. Ah, that's interesting. Thank you, Atwolf. Let me see if I can tweak that. Agreed, the text is very hard to read. Oh, I'm so sorry. All right, thank you for pointing that out. G'day, Zarubis. I'm going to go to the set. I'll see if I can change the settings of this on the fly. So just bear with me. Settings, video. Output. Ah, now here we go. Righto. It looks like it is downscaling. Okay, give me a sec. I can't actually change this while I'm streaming, so I'm going to have to stop and start again. So just bear with me. I'll be back in just a second.